So this was my first attempt at brewing a sour beer, and I am shook that it tastes as good as it does. I say this because I had to get pretty creative with the key ingredient for souring, the bacteria. So this is how I made a white pepper GOSE. It's brew diary number 2. And here's what I used. Wheat malt, Pilsner malt, sea salt, coriander seeds, white pepper, Saaz hops, Irish moss, ale yeast, and this digestive supplement. I started by filling up my stock pot with water, then cracked open a cheeky one while I waited for it to reach 68 degrees. I popped all my malt into this mesh bag, which was way too small, and kept it in there for 30 minutes. After that, I raised it into a strainer and poured fresh water around it to try and get more sugars out. This was not the best approach, and I reckon I should have just ditched the bag altogether. Pour methods aside, I brought it to the boil for 5 minutes and then immediately tried to cool it down to about 30 degrees or so. This is basically liquid food for our Lactobacillus bacteria to eat, and the cheapest place to get Lactobacillus is in these capsules. Might sound dodgy, but it worked. So I popped the 2 capsules in and I left it for 48 hours. I gave it a sample after that, and it was pretty sour, kind of like a Greek yogurt. I then put it back on the stove and brought it to the boil. I let it boil for 30 minutes, and when it was really rolling, I immediately added the hops. 15 minutes in, and this out of focus shot poured in the Irish moss. And in the last 10 minutes of the boil, I added in the coriander, pepper, and the Celtic sea salt, which I diluted in water. And just like watching paint dry, I spent way too long waiting for all this to drop down to about 30 degrees. After it finally did, I nervously poured it into this carboy, making sure not to spill anything. Then I added the yeast, took in the view, and gave it a shake. Popped on this little airlock, and just let it go for about 2 weeks. And look at that crispy boy! Looks just about ready to be bottled. So I got this dextrose and I put about 4 grams in every single bottle. I'm really bad at this siphoning thing. I always spill just a little bit too much, and with a small batch, every single drop counts. So I primed 9 bottles, but I only had enough liquid for about 8 bottles. But hey, at least it's special. So I let it bottle condition for about 3 weeks. And this beer was super delicious. It had a mild earthy aroma from the white pepper and a splash of citrus from the coriander. To the taste, it was a mellow sour, like lemons covered in sugar. The pepper was definitely there, but more as a background note. And the finish was refreshingly dry. This would be a perfect beer to crack after a trip to the fish and chip shop. Cheers!